That's an orb, the black one there, next to the white one. And there's some on this side, on the left. And it's really traveling fast for a moon. Whoa, did you see that one fly over it? That was a fast one. There's a black one flew right over across the face of it. That was a fast one too. I'm gonna back off so I can catch some of them. As a flare out, because they had to move the camera to adjust it. Let's see if anybody flies over. I think I got the middle. Lots of clusters on it. And these are all in new places right here. And on top too. No, 400x. Okay, all those white orbs have changed positions. They were never in that place before. They've all moved around from before. Now the moon hologram has not been around for a while, so I'm going back a month or so when it was over here. Today it's southwest. Just film the top half first and the bottom half so I can see what's going on. Okay, all those orbs there have rearranged themselves. They're not in the same positions. The clusters there, the black clusters, they're not in the same positions, and neither are the white orbs. They're all different. On the bottom here too. They were never on that side on the bottom, and tonight they're on the left side there on the bottom, and they never used to be there. I don't think I've ever filmed them there on the left side on the bottom. That's a new place for them. The black clusters on the bottom left, and over here on the right hand side in the middle, those clusters there on the bottom, they're black. On the bottom of the 3 or 4 on top that are very pronounced, those ones that are not that pronounced but are still black, there's 1, 2, 3 of them, the one in the middle being the largest. that there is new, and excuse me, and so are the black clusters there that are small, that almost look like black lines on the left-hand side towards the middle, and below the darker black ones that are up higher. That's new there, in that area. There's a lot more black clusters now than the white clusters. That whole area used to be really bright previously, and you could hardly look at it. And now the brightness is only in the middle at the bottom and a little bit on the top, but not much. But on the left hand side on the bottom, the black clusters, they're all new. The whole their left hand side where it's black, that's all new, all the way from the bottom to the top. And the clusters there on the right hand side that are the lowest, there's 1, 2, 3 of them that are not as black as the ones above them. They're new as well. And there's a lot more black matter than it used to have. That whole left side is all dark and new, and that never used to be dark like that. It used to be much lighter, and the bottom part there on the left used to be very bright all the way up to the middle. You could barely look at it because it was so bright, and now it's a lot darker. So there's a lot less a lot less white portions than dark portions. I'm just waiting for one more of them to fly by, like before. I caught that one unawares right off the bat. And this is 80x. So I'm just going to examine some of these. Okay, there's orb clusters right there on the side, on the left. You could see the little orb clusters there against the black background. And there's 2 larger ones right at the edge, or 3 larger ones right at the edge. Then there's a orb cluster right there that's black, and a white one right next to it. You can really see the force field holding the whole thing together right there. It's really strong tonight. Usually it's much of a thinner line, but tonight it's really strong and bright. You could just see how powerful it is, holding the whole thing together. Whoa! You see that one? There's another one just flew by. That's big. That's a big saucer. It's miles big. They're not little anymore. Those are big. So at 400x or something like that, maybe a little bit more. But boy, the orbs are flying tonight. That's the second saucer. Back it off. Maybe I'll catch more. Let me just look at the bottom for a minute. Okay, the bottom still looks the same on the right hand side, but the left side, like I said, has a lot more black clusters. And that's what's flying around, those black saucer-like things. They're black clusters, they're not saucers. They just look like saucers, but they're just black clusters flying around, just like the ones you see right there that appear to be on the surface, but they're not on the surface. They're like the two right there in the middle, a little bit towards the left, where they're pronounced, the two black ones that are right there, sorry, right there pronounced more than the rest. And that's what's flying. And they're all clusters, but the ones that are going to fly are ready, and they're up higher than the rest of them, so you could see them better. But the whole thing is, that's not the moon, that's a hologram, and it's all a bunch of clusters all together. Look, they're just moving all over. It's a bunch of clusters all together, and they combine to form that image. There's a white one right there on the left side on top, on almost on the edge. And that one's going to take off. There's a white one right there in the middle with a bunch of the black ones already. They're all gonna, there it is. See that one go by? I should have been closer. Too bad I backed off. But they're flying. There's a lot of them. They're just gonna be flying tonight. So that's the third one. Has a clear shot of a third one right there. And you see how fast they travel that huge distance, like nothing. And they're big clusters. They look like saucers, but what they are is big clusters. And they're like miles or kilometers in diameter. And they travel super fast across that moon face like nothing, flat, just in a brief second. They cross right over it like it wasn't even there. So they're using that whole cluster as a base. That's what that is. That's an alien base, and all those clusters are really alien ships because they contain aliens, regardless if they're white or black, or if they're in a big mass that looks like the moon. The whole thing is alien. That's not the moon, and there are we haven't seen the real moon in 2 years. So these are all clusters, and they're full of alien entities, because that's how they have their ships. It's clusters of entities packed close together that look like saucers, or they could look really like anything. They can change their shape because they're really biological entities, and when they shift around in the cluster, they can change it to look like anything, because if it were metal ships, they wouldn't be able to change the shape of them. They would always look the same. But the clusters can change shapes. They can look like hexahedrons, cubes, saucers, you name it. I've seen them look like everything. There is no shape I haven't seen. So basically that's what they are. There's so many bugs, there's so many mosquitoes and everything these days in Toronto. You can't even go on your balcony. I feel like I'm camping. They're eating me alive. And this video is not going to be too long because of that. It's amazing how many bugs are in the air, and they all attack This never used to happen. I'm on the 18th floor. Usually there'd be no mosquitoes up this high because it's just too high for them. But now, so you just saw 3 of them shoot by back of it, and that's more than just clouds. I see orbs all over. I see orb clusters there, a whole bunch of them, right all around the moon hologram, and they're big too. Yeah, see that? Electromagnetic pulses. They're trying to shut off my camera, but they can't shut this one off. They can just blur the image, but not much. There's a clear shot. Those are orb clusters, and there's some clouds behind it, but mostly orb clusters. And the thing looks like it's a mass. Look. Somebody took some shots there. BP oil disaster and star 524 screen 144, and they took the same shots with the camera. Look, those are massive clusters right there behind it. They're not clouds at all. I thought it was clouds. Look, you see how it's trying to blur out the camera? Electromagnetic pulses. And look at all the clusters along the sides. You see all the clusters there? They're all lined up in a semicircle on the bottom, and then along the side and in back of it. And they're right across the middle, in back of it, and the sides. Those. Look at the blue one. See the blue one? Okay, so they got an armada of ships up there, and they're ready for something. I think they're going to be coming down pretty soon. Look at them all. Those are all orb clusters, and look at that blue one. That's the one that's producing the electromagnetic pulse frequencies that shut off my cameras and blur them all the time. They're having problems with this one. They just can't get it right. They're still blurring me. I have to back off, get a clear shot. Look at all those clusters. So that's a biological mass, the entire moon hologram and everything else around it. It's a biological mass of organisms. Those are not clouds at all. Look at them. That's not what clouds look like. It's a biological mass. And that's a hexahedron cluster. That's no moon, that's for sure. Okay, there's a good shot of all of them. It's just like the pictures that BP oil disaster took with that mass coming right off of the face and all around the moon image. And then 524 TR Scream took shots or took some shots off of it. And then look at the shifts. You see, and there's the biomass just coming right off of it. You see that? Not clouds. None of them are clouds, especially those lighter color ones. And look, orbs on the bottom here. Look at the orbs. See the orbs? Right there. Okay, there's more orbs right there on the bottom, right? And then there's more orbs right on top. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 orbs on the top right corner of it, and then there's a whole mass of orbs right here that they want to make it look like a cloud, but look, they're orbs right there. You see how they blur the camera? And nobody would ever believe me they blur the camera, but you see what they're doing? Because they control electromagnetic pulse energy, and they send it right at the camera. Look at that 3 on the left of the moon hologram. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them right there, all separate, and they're just in midair like that. These, you see how they darken themselves, so you can't see them? I have to back off and show them. Okay, that's an airplane. Okay, that's not a spaceship. That's an airplane flying. So they've changed their, they've dulled out because they've changed their intensity. So now I can't see them. I would have to lighten the entire frame to pick them up. But anyway, I've seen enough of them, and I've seen them all. And there's this one that emits the electromagnetic pulses. That one. And that's a big cluster right there. You see it spinning? That's what that looks like. Here's one over here. I'll try and catch it after light. Look at all the organisms. That's how many of them there are in the air. Watch. See what you see what that looks like? That's in our atmosphere. That's not up in space. It's high up in the atmosphere, but still it's in our atmosphere. Look at the organisms there. That's how many of them there are in our atmosphere just flying around that are not in big clusters like this. I want that thing to turn to hexahedron once and for all and show its true colors. Look at all the ships. That's a plane. That's a plane that's going towards the left. But look at the other two that are one on top, one on the bottom, one on the top left, one on the bottom right. That blue one. That's the one that's throwing electromagnetic pulses at me. The blue ball right there. That's that blue orb I filmed down here on the ground a few weeks ago. Or 2 weeks ago, I don't know when, maybe last week. There's two right on the bottom. See those two? Look, the blue orb just shot past them. There's some right there. Those are not clouds. Those are clusters. You could see 3 orbs right there, and there's a bunch of orbs there on a pile. That's no cloud either. Okay, there's a big mass. See, they don't want me to see it. You see how they try and blur the camera? That's all a biological mass. It's biomass. That's not a cloud. Look at the orbs in it to the right. You see all the orbs on top of it and to the right a little bit? Those are all orbs in that cloud-like thing. But that's not a real cloud. That's like a biomass of organisms that are clustered to look like a cloud. But that's no cloud. You can just see all of them. This is really bad news. Look, this is bad news for us. Because they're getting ready for something as soon as they start doing things like that. That's no cloud. Look at all that biomass. And you saw the moon image shrink. So all that biomass is going away from that large cluster that was the moon hologram just a few minutes ago. And now there is no moon hologram. Now it's going to be a very small thing that you can't even take a picture of, because they all just dispersed into supposedly to look like clouds, but that's no clouds at all. Look at this. All that. Look at that. It's coming right off of the moon hologram. So that big mass that was appearing to be the moon hologram has just reduced itself by like 50%. And all those cloud-looking things that are going to look like clouds now overhead are not clouds at all. They're those organisms. They're going to look like clouds now. And I'm gonna leave a tiny little moon image up there, half the size of what it was just a few minutes ago. So that's what I'm talking about. We have a serious problem. Whoever doesn't think it's serious is out of his mind. It's a serious problem. We have aliens in our atmosphere, and they're moving around like clouds, and they're pretending to be the moon. And they're neither the clouds nor the moon. Look how bright it is. You can't see it anymore. They've increased the intensity like 100 times.